hey, welcome to your full moon in Gemini, December 4th, 2025 astrology horoscope. I'm Sarah at Life with Training Wheels, where I utilize a Western tropical zodiac astrology, whole sign house system, and other tools to help guide you on your journey of self-discovery and self-empowerment. My goal is to help you realize that life really is a choose your own adventure. You have more control over your life and your thoughts than you think you do, and we really do make this world our reality. One of my favorite quotes is, "Wherever you go, there you are." So if you keep finding yourself in certain situations, good or bad, it may be a time to look into the mirror. If that sounds like something you want to stick around for, a vibe that you can vibe with, then I encourage you to stick around. If this is your first time finding me, thank you for joining me, and I hope you'll stay. If you are returning, thank you so much for returning. Either way, if you could go ahead and engage with this video in some way, like, subscribe, comment, anything like that, it will help my tiny channel grow, and I greatly appreciate it. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we dive into the astrology this month. I do currently have a Your First Astrology course going on right now. It is a 6-week course. I have released the first week video. I am working on editing the second week's video. But basically, I take you from zero, from not knowing how to pull up a birth chart, and walking you through that, and walking you through a couple astrology tools that I use that are free to use, and then explain, the setup of a birth chart, the chart layout, the house system. We'll get into the signs and the planets and understanding your big three, your rising sign, your sun sign, and your moon sign. And then finally learning how to take horoscopes like the ones I give here and like many other astrologers give, and how to take your natal chart and really see more layers of how the energy is interacting with your chart on a more personal level. So that course is going on now. It is delivered via email, and you can ask any questions after each week is delivered, each video is delivered, and I really want to make this course yours, so I would love to have you join me. The information for that is in the description box below. I also am starting up a Patreon membership that would be basically a getting to know you, getting to know yourself monthly membership, where I will teach an astrology topic, teach something about the natal chart and how to read it every month. So not only will it be a learning astrology, but then learning about yourself, because I will teach on a topic and then give a 20-minute personal astrology reading for each person in the course, or in the Patreon membership, each month, according to whatever topic we are discussing that month. So it's like a mini personalized astrology reading every month, as well as a monthly astrology learning tool. So it's like a monthly learning astrology and learning yourself better through astrology membership. If you're interested in joining, the link will be in the description box below for that as well. And although this was a Black Friday deal, I am going to extend it through the month of December, where I will give $25 off of any service I offer on my website if you sign up for my newsletter. I have not really started sending out my new newsletters yet, but I do plan on sending out like weekly astrology, weekly horoscopes, as well as anything else going on any of my YouTube channels or anything else that I feel might be of value or interest to you. It would only be going out weekly at max, perhaps monthly to start. But if you would like to sign up for that, please do so in the description box below. I would love to have you join my newsletter. Now let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so as I always do in my new moon and full moon videos, I like to break it down piece by piece. So first I like to start talking about what a full moon is, since this is a full moon. So a full moon is when the sun and the moon are opposite each other in the sky. So it is a period of reflection, basically, right? Anytime there's an opposition in astrology, it is asking for us to look at how we might need to balance these particular two areas of our chart. So if we kind of look at the cycle of the moon, when a new moon happens, the sun and the moon are together, right? They're on the same page. They're focused on one particular area of the chart. And then when the full moon happens, the moon is opposite the sun. So it's more asking you to kind of check in with yourself and be like, well, have I been so focused on my new goals and new aspirations and the new things coming to me here that I've forgotten about what's over here? So that's one aspect of a full moon. The other aspect is kind of, if you look at it in like a more agricultural point of view of planting a seed and watching it grow, right? The full moon is kind of when your crop or whatever is what you're manifesting is kind of at its peak, or it's starting to show, and you're starting to get the rewards of the effort that you have put in. And so now it's time to, number one, take a step back and give thanks for what is coming to fruition, the blessings that you are being given, but also a time to start looking at, okay, well, these are the things, this is growing, this is what I wanted to grow, but there's these weeds that are growing with it, right? So it's kind of a reflection point of taking out the weeds that are holding back the thing that you want to grow. So it is a time of letting go. That's why there's a lot of letting go rituals around the full moon. So that's kind of what a full moon is. The new moon is the time when we plant seeds. The full moon is when we give gratitude for the things that are showing up, making sure that we're not forgetting or not being too focused on one area of our lives and remaining balanced, as well as seeing if there's anything that's continuing to stand in our way that we need to let go and release in order to keep moving forward in the way that we want to move forward. So then we look at this month's full moon is in Gemini. So Gemini is a sign of communication. It is a sign of travel. It's represented by the twins, right? So it's a lot of information. It's a lot of options. It's a lot of it's like a fast energy. Gemini is mutable air, so it's very active and flighty and fast paced. It is technology. Gemini represents technology and communication and travel, air travel, car travel, all types of travel, but air, since it is an air sign. Information, like I said, communication, it's the way we think, the way we process things, and it gets that from the rulership of Mercury. When a full moon is in Gemini, it's bringing our focus to these things, right? The full moon is illuminating things that maybe were dark. So it wants us to look at the information that we are taking in, because the opposite is Sagittarius, right? Sagittarius is more the bigger picture, the longer distance travel, the foreign cultures, the belief systems, things of that nature. And Gemini is more the local community, the short distance travel, the information that we're taking in order to come up with our belief systems. So the full moon in Gemini is giving us an opportunity to kind of look at the information that we're taking in, the communication that we're taking in, the communication that we're putting out, how we're engaging in our local environment, and making sure that we're not missing anything, making sure that that what's coming into us is appropriate. You know, full moons here could be a good time to perhaps take a break from social media, or to really, look at the things that we are letting into our mind, right? Because staying healthy is not only looking at what we consume through our food and drink, but also what we consume in our mind. So a full moon in Gemini is a great time to do that. It's also a great time, since it's about technology, for us to look at what technology is coming down the line. Do we like it? Do we hate it? Are there things that we want to keep about it? Are there things that we want to discard about it? I'm sure we all have our own opinions about that. So that is overall what a full moon in Gemini is about. And some of those questions are what we're being asked to look at, both collectively and individually right now at this full moon. So now that we've got that covered, let's go ahead and pull up the chart. And as I discuss every full moon and new moon, what makes each one unique to the other ones, because we have a full moon in Gemini every year, right? But every year, the conversations that full moon and the sun are having with other planets are different. So that is what makes it unique every year and gives it another flavor. Okay, so I have the full moon chart up on the screen now, and I have not pre-looked at this, so I'm looking at this as the first time, just like you are. So we have the moon here in Gemini, opposite the sun in Sagittarius here. So that is where, like I discussed, that's where we're being asked to balance kind of the information we're taking in versus the bigger picture, our belief systems, things of that nature, looking at highlighting more of our local community rather than the worldly community, kind of making sure we're focusing on our more immediate environment. So that is there. Okay, so the first thing that stands out to me is that this moon is in a fixed grand cross. Or not a fixed grand cross. It's in a grand cross, but it is in a mutable grand cross. So, because there's... So a grand cross is when there are 4 squares going on, and then that creates 2 oppositions. So this is any grand cross is a hard aspect, right? You have 2 oppositions and 4 squares happening. So there's a lot of balancing, there's a lot of tension, things of that nature. I have a fixed grand cross in my birth chart, so I'm feeling pulled in different directions all the time. So basically, just taking it down to the basics, what this means is these 4 areas of your chart are feeling, you're feeling pulled between these 4 areas. Like you're trying to figure out how to balance them and how to give them all the time and attention that they are desiring. So it can feel like a very tenuous tension. It can feel like an energy that holds a lot of tension, right? Because you can't be in 4 places at once, but the chart wants you to be. On the plus side, though, this is a mutable grand cross, and the mutable energy, the mutable signs, they do like to change, right? Gemini is a twin. It likes to have a lot of options. It's fine with taking what was working and discarding what wasn't working and kind of changing, not necessarily starting all the way from scratch, but being able to adapt and kind of pivot, not necessarily, stop doing something, but taking what's working and pivoting to keep going. So this is a very good energy, I guess, to have at a full moon, when full moons are kind of asking you to look at what's working and what's not and weeding out what isn't. Mutable energy is very good at that overall. So this is kind of, if we were to have any square that would be supportive of the full moon energy or any grand cross, this would be it. So that is good. So next we would just want to see what these energies are that are coming into play, right? So we have the moon in Gemini, which we've already talked about. We have the sun in Sagittarius, which we've talked about the Sagittarius energy a little bit. And then we have, and the moon is our emotions, right? The moon is our emotions. It's our safety, how we feel good internally. The sun is what we are, it's our vitality. It's the things that we're focused on outwardly, where a lot of our energy is going. So those are in square with the North Node and South Node in Pisces and Libra. So this is really big. So this means, right, the nodes are considered the nodes of fate. So this full moon and this day would be considered a very fateful day. So whatever is coming up for you today, it is potentially likely very fated. It's meant to happen. So kind of roll with the punches and just trust that the universe is serving up what is for your highest and best. But it also is calling our attention, right? The full moon is a time when it's calling our attention to how we're balancing things out. So it's calling our attention to the North Node and the South Node. And what do those represent again? Those represent, the North Node represents where we are collectively kind of moving as a society, what our next lesson is as a species, I guess. And the South Node is the energies that we're kind of meant to let go of. Like, not to let go of the entire Virgoan energy, but the lower vibrations of it, right? And then for Pisces, we're supposed to be learning how to encapsulate and grow in the highest and best vibrations of Pisces. So the things that I'm seeing that are kind of beautiful about this is Sagittarius and Pisces are both about like belief systems and spirituality and everything like that, right? Like Gemini is how we get our information, the information that we're taking in, and then Sagittarius is more the energy of, okay, what do we do with that information? How do we build our belief systems from the information we're getting over here? It rules our spiritual belief systems, our political belief systems, like all belief systems that we have. And our teachers that we look towards and things of that nature. And then Pisces is very much a spiritual nature as well. It is, how we connect to the other world, to the spiritual world. It is the realm of the unseen, of the hidden timelines, the hidden dimensions, the hidden, however you want to describe it. On a more practical level, it represents like our dream time. It represents actual sleep. Our awareness kind of being brought to these two areas of belief systems and spirituality, and all that I know about what's going on overall in the chart, with this Saturn, or this Neptune and Uranus sextile that's exact going on is very much about when those two planets combine the way they are, it's very much a spiritual revolution. So there's a lot of spiritual energy in this chart. And overall, talking about the Pisces energy that we've been dealing with most of the year, right? The Pisces energy is really interesting because on one hand, we're being asked to let go of a lot of the Pisces energy. We're being asked to let go of perhaps religious dogma or institutions that have deluded us, right? Kept us, like the propaganda, kept us... kept things unseen from us that, we'd have different belief systems, perhaps, if these are things that we would have seen. So there's all this with the energy of Saturn and Neptune being at the 29th degree, going back and forth this year between Aries and Pisces, starting something new and then coming back to finish clearing out what needs to be cleared out. 29th degree of Pisces being the last degree of the zodiac, like that energy is really about breaking, especially with Saturn there, about breaking down structures, letting go of, and then on a more personal level, breaking down boundaries and walls and things like that, breaking down things, subconscious patterns that have ruled our life that are no longer serving us, that we've carried from childhood, learning truths about things that we've built our belief systems on that are now crumbling, and now we're having to start over. Like, they're collectively and individually, there's a lot of this energy of letting go of things. And not only is it like, financial structures and political structures and things like that, but a lot of it is religious structures too, right? We are in this age of like a spiritual revolution, and I think we're all feeling that on different types of levels, right? A spiritual journey is unique to every individual. There's not necessarily one collective right way, right path, anything like that. But I think a lot of us are going through some type of spiritual revolution, right? So we're having all this energy of letting go, but with the North Node here, it's calling us to also continue building. So it's very much this energy of tearing down and building at the same time. Like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? Doesn't mean just because you're learning that some things may not have been what you thought they were, doesn't mean to throw everything out and to discard your entire belief systems altogether, it's just learning, especially in Pisces, where we sometimes lack discernment, lack boundaries, because it is that universal energy, right? So it can be where we don't know what's ours, what's other people's. So it is this energy of building up discernment, learning to know what's true and what's not, as well as learning to have faith. While in some ways our faith may be crumbling in certain areas, we still need to keep the faith that and build up a new faith that things are always working out for our favor. I think part of this too is letting go of victim mentality, and building up the mentality of, no, you have more control over your life than you realize you do. So it's calling our attention to that, to letting go of the more negative aspects of Pisces, where we can be deluded, we can see things with rose-colored glasses, we can fall victim to propaganda and what people are just telling us and take it at face value, and learning to be more discerning and learning to have more faith. And then on the opposite end of the South Node in Virgo. Virgo is a very practical energy. It is, an earth energy. It wants to be able to touch it, taste it, smell it, feel it, right? So it is on the opposite spectrum of Pisces in that way. And it is the energy of like taking this information that we're getting here, organizing it before we make our belief systems, right? Virgo energy is very analytical. It is very, it wants to make the lists and things of that nature. It wants to have things in order. It's where we get our ducks in a row. So it's a very good energy to have, but on the more negative side, it can be where we can't move forward unless we have all the details, where we are too nitpicky and demand perfection of ourselves and demand perfection of other people. It can be where, like in our relationships with others on a personal level, it can be where we may not be supportive of other people's dreams because we see all the things that might go wrong with it. We see all the reasons why not. And so we may, project that onto them, or we see our own fears and stuff like that, and we project that onto other people, which can then hold them back. Expecting a lot from ourselves can hold us back by having to have everything lined up just right. So those are the types of energies that Virgo can have that can get out of control, right? And can end up holding us back rather than letting us go forward. So we are digging for, we are in this, cultural phase and spiritual phase and individual phase of we want to know the truth, because we're finding out about how much we have been deceived about so many things that we want to dig for the truth, which is a lot of the Gemini energy, right? We want to sort through it and know the nitty-gritty details and have everything in order. And also the energy right now as well, right? Everything is crumbling, and we want something solid. We want something earthly to hold on to as things are crumbling. We want to be able to know what is going to be built up in its place if this thing crumbles, right? Both in our own personal lives as well as the world at large. And we're being asked with the South Node here to let go of needing to know everything in advance and to learning how to free fall and trust and allow, right? The water energy is very much about just free falling and allowing the flow and trusting the intuition. So this is very much an energy of learning to trust our intuition and to let go of when our analytical mind gets in the way of, we've all had those experiences where we have a gut feeling that something may be off or that we shouldn't do something or whatever. We have this gut feeling, right, coming from like Pisces, our intuition, and then our analytical mind kicks in and sifts through all the information and organizes it and all those things. And then we come up with reasons why we shouldn't trust our gut. And then we go through with whatever it is. And then in hindsight, we're like, I should have listened to my gut. Well, that's what we're being asked to do with this North Node and South Node in particular in the collective right now, but especially at this the time of this full moon. And I think this is a lot about, like I've already said, a lot about learning discernment, with technology and information coming at us, all the AI channels and videos and stuff like that, like figuring out how to discern what is real and what is not is going to be very important going forward. And I think this full moon is kind of highlighting that. Okay, so those are the only aspects that the moon and sun, the only exact aspects that they are making. So then next we would look to the ruler of the full moon, which is the ruler of Gemini, is Mercury. So then we would look to see what Mercury is doing. Mercury is over here in Scorpio, and I talk a lot about Mercury in the December 2025 forecast, as well as the individual December 2025 horoscopes that I am releasing as well. But basically, Mercury and Scorpio energy wants to go deep, right? Scorpio energy wants to dig for the truth. It wants to shine light on the hidden areas. Scorpio is very much about transformation. It's about where we keep our hidden fears, our guilt, our shame. So it's very dark. It is things that we keep hidden, but at the same time, with the energy of transformation too, right? You can't really transform until you shine a light on those things. So it is all about shadow work, addressing those fears and places where we hold guilt and shame, to bring love and compassion, to be able to become the better and highest versions of ourselves, right? And Mercury is the mind. So with Mercury here in Scorpio, our mind really is all about right now digging for the truth, going into those dark, like not caring how dark it's going to get. We just want to know. We want to know the truth, and we're going to find it. Mercury in Scorpio is very much that energy. It's not surface level, like we're not interested in small talk. We are interested in real conversations, real information, real communication. And this Scorpio in or this Mercury in Scorpio is keeping this water, which I talk about in the December forecast, is keeping this water grand trine active the first half of December. But it is, heavily in play as it is the ruler of this full moon. So we do still have, at this full moon, this grand water trine active. So bringing us, luck and abundance from this Jupiter in Cancer, and really working with, as we've been discussing, this Saturn and Neptune and Pisces, and digging for the truth of what is there, right? And Jupiter is expanding, figuring out the truth of what is there. Jupiter expands everything. So this is very supportive energy, bringing us the abundance of truth, bringing us the abundance of tearing down structures, right? But with it being a grand trine, it is, supportive energy. This is bringing good destruction, I guess you could say. This Mercury in Scorpio is also in opposition to, it's kind of a wide opposition, but it is getting closer to Uranus in Taurus. So Uranus is the planet of disruption, right? The planet of wanting to break out of the box, of doing things differently. And it is here in Taurus, which Taurus, on a collective level represents resources and finances. So the financial system, our agricultural system, just our resources overall. And you can think about, that combined with AI, right? Like all these data centers that are being built are taking up so much of our resources. Uranus also represents electricity, right? It is both within our body, it's our nervous system, as well as electricity, on a more mundane level. And, the the technology centers, the AI data centers, are taking up all of our electricity, and we're being asked to pay for it. Our financial systems are in collapse, and our food prices are out of control, right? Like, there's so many disruptions that Uranus is causing in this Taurus area that we can clearly see. And Mercury in Scorpio is digging for the truth of that too. Like, why are these systems collapsing? What can we do about it? Should we save them? Should we let them fail? Those types of questions are being asked and being highlighted with this opposition. Like, when we know the truth of what's going on, when we know, we're going to demand better, and the demanding better might lead to great disruption of these Taurus type things. The other thing, just overall, that Uranus in Taurus can bring is, electricity. I'm thinking a lot of things here. I'm thinking, there's been a lot more earthquakes. There's been a lot more volcanic activity. All this energy in Sagittarius, combined with this disruption in the earth energy with Uranus, like, that can signify earthquakes and volcanic activity and stuff like that. So something to keep in the back of your mind as we see those types of things going on in the world. So that's really it for the collective reading overall for this full moon. So it's very much about digging for truth, the disruptions that are going on, and the continuing crumbling of the systems as we know it. And, figuring out what we need to do with that. Learning discernment. This is all about learning discernment and looking at what types of information we're taking in, what we're doing with that, how we're filtering it, how we're knowing whether it's true or not. Letting go of needing to know all the answers and trusting a little bit more, while still digging for the truth, because we may or may not get the actual truth. So those are the things that are coming with this, but it is very, with it being with the nodes of fate, it is a very fated full moon. So whatever is coming to you in your personal life, whatever you're being called to kind of look at, trust that this is the divine timing for that, and that, whatever is coming up, like, make note of it and kind of run with it, right? Trust it. So now I'll go ahead and just very briefly get into all of the signs and give you kind of an idea of where this Grand Cross is working with you in your own personal chart. Okay, so Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is happening in your 12th house, 3rd house, 6th house, and 9th house. So you are, first and foremost being asked to balance, the Gemini, the 3rd house area of communication. Being an Aries rising, you often are most aligned with what the collective reading is. This is very much about your communication, your siblings, your short distance travel, the information that you're taking in. 9th house is your belief systems, your long distance travel, higher education. So balancing, maybe your studies with your belief systems, or your studies with teaching, things like that. And then it's also really highlighting your 6th house of daily habits and routines, right? That's where the South Node is, asking you to let go of any areas where you're demanding too much perfection of yourself or others in your daily habits, routine, and work. And then, asking the North Node here, asking you to trust more, not only in the collective and in your spiritual evolution, but also the rest and relaxation that you need. Like perhaps you've been a person that feels that has grown up with the idea that you, especially being Aries, right, that you need to be go, 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 that there's no time for rest. Well, the North Node in Pisces is asking you to consider that rest is important. So those are the types of things that are coming to the forefront for you to focus on, as well as, the Water Grand Trine, which you can listen to the December forecast for you for more information on that when I put it out. And then the opposition between Mercury and Uranus. So, things are continuing to be shaken up in your second house of finances and shared resources. So looking at how that those shakeups, are leading, although they may be uncomfortable, they are leading you to where you need to go and how you need to be able to build a better solid foundation with your resources and with your finances and things of that nature. Okay, Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This is happening for you. This full moon is in your second house, opposing the Sun in your 8th house. The 11th house is the focus on your North Node, and the South Node in the 5th house. So this is very much asking you to consider your second house of, your personal finances, your personal resources, your personal value system, and how you're balancing that with how you share things with others, how you're intimate with others, as well as how 8th house is also how you're intimate with yourself. Like, are you willing to give yourself compassion and grace and go into the dark, see what your fears are, your guilt, your shame, shine a light on it, compassion, hold space for healing and transformation for yourself so that you can do the same for other people. So kind of a really deep dive on your value system and things of that nature, as well as, your personal resources versus how you share resources with other people. That's being asked, taxes, investments, things like that, kind of the balance between there. And then as well as focusing at the same time on your 5th house of joy, creativity, finance, entrepreneurship, romance, children. So where, with this South Node and Virgo, the energies of where you might be too particular about what your kids do, too particular about, having to have things in too much of the right order and demanding perfection of your children or your romantic partners, or needing your joy to be experienced in a certain way, or something like letting go of those particulars and allowing a little bit more free flow. And then with the North Node in Pisces, allowing yourself to bring all of you out into your friend groups, the groups that you belong to, contributing to it, like bringing more of your true authentic self to out into the world, and to share your gifts of who you are with the world, and to trust that that's where you're meant to grow. And then with the opposition here of Mercury and Uranus in your 1st house, just knowing that there are more shakeups, more, you're really having this revolution of wanting to be different than you always have been, right? Wanting to be unique, wanting to do things differently, and to just continue to trust that whatever is evolving there is meant for you. Okay, Gemini, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This grand square is, and this full moon are in your first house. So you will be feeling this very potently, potentially very much more emotional about it than other people might be having a harder time, as it is, this grand cross, this grand square. You're feeling the square. You're feeling the brunt of the square as your own, personally, right? So it is hitting you personally in your first house. It's hitting you in the fourth house of your home and family, and the seventh house of your personal relationships, and 10th house of career. So this is very much, asking you to balance yourself and your relationships, as well as your home life and your career life. So as far as the home life and the South Node energy, kind of asking you to let go of the being nitpicky and demanding perfection at home, and kind of going more with the flow there, and trusting that a lot of your energy and where you're growing right now is in your 10th house, and making sure that you are spiritually aligned with what you're doing in your career. So you're being asked to balance all these 4 areas, which is a tall order. And then with this opposition between Mercury and Scorpio and Uranus, you are undergoing more shakeups and revelations and things like that. In your 12th house of unseen things are subconscious patterning. Those could be coming up for you to address, or 12th house can also be the house of self-undoing, so addictions and things like that, healing those, so that you can be the best version that you can be. But you're being asked to kind of restructure your boundary system and have faith in your career and 10th house, and let go of being super nitpicky about the home environment, and just making sure that there's balance between you and your one-to-one relationships. Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This full moon is happening for you in your 12th house of the hidden realms, the house of spirituality, the house of our subconscious patterning, our subconscious mind. So things might be being illuminated during this full moon about subconscious patterns that you may have that are potentially holding you back. You might be getting insights into those things. You might be getting, you might be feeling more tired, right? This house is also the house of rest and dream time. You might be having a lot of very vivid dreams. If you are, trust what's coming to you. This might be a time when you need to focus on meditation and things like that, but also to balance this energy out with the 6th house of your daily habits and routines. Make sure, especially with all this fiery energy, right, you're being asked to make sure that you're not focusing too much on work, focusing too much on your health. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but just making sure that your daily habits and routines and how you go about your day, that you're remaining balanced with rest. And then the other area that this Grand Cross is focusing on is your 3rd house of communication and learning, and the 9th house of your higher belief systems and higher education and teaching. So maybe there's a balance here between learning and teaching, or between the types of information that you're getting in and your belief systems. And with the South Node here, kind of letting go of the nitpicky energy that we might have with the people that are in our third house, so like our siblings, our neighborhood, our local environment, like maybe not expecting as much perfection out of them, maybe not expecting as much perfection out of people, out of the communication, and just accepting them how they are in their communication. Maybe not criticizing yourself for the way you communicate, really letting go, making sure that, really letting go of any negative aspects of communication and taking in social media or information, being really mindful about what you have coming in, and trusting more in your faith, in your higher belief systems, leaning on that more. A reminder with this opposition to your Uranus in Taurus in your 11th house, that you may still be experiencing some shakeups and, breakups in friendships or groups that you belong to. And, you might be going under a revolution. You want to belong to different groups that you haven't belonged to before, noticing that, things may no longer fit the way they did before, and trusting that those moves are right for you. All right, Leo, this full moon is happening for you in your 11th house of friends, groups that you're involved in. 11th house can also, especially when we're talking about a full moon, 11th house can be financial gains or losses coming, from your 10th house. It is a financial house, but it is our hopes and dreams for the future. It is our friends and friendship groups. It is where we engage with where we bring our full authentic self out into the world and how we contribute to society. So that is being highlighted for you to think about and consider at the time of this full moon, and to remain, balanced as well, with your 5th house energy of joy, romance, creativity, children, inner child. So, kind of making sure that you are bringing your authentic self, and that you have an understanding of who your authentic self is, what your joys are, what your passions are, and bringing that out into the world. And so this is kind of bringing up, like, who am I, and how do I want to show up in the world? It's also bringing up the balance between your 2nd house and 8th house. So this is your personal finances, your personal resources, your personal value system. And then 8th house is, how we share those resources, how we share our time and our intimacy with others, as well as, 8th house is our personal transformation as well. How we are willing to go in and look at the places where we hold fear, guilt, and shame, and be willing to shine a light on it, to transform it and heal it to become the best versions of ourselves. And the capacity with which we're able to do that for ourselves is the capacity with which we're able to hold that space for other people and to allow them to be intimate with us. So it is your personal values, and then your, how you share your personal values with others, your personal finances versus how you share your finances with others. That is the other thing. And you're being kind of asked to, with the South Node in the 2nd house, let go of any nitpickiness you have about your finances and your values. Like, are you too picky about where you get your money from? Are you too picky about your resources? Are you, this can also be how we nourish our bodies as well. Like, are you too strict on a diet or something like that. So kind of looking at whatever and letting go, with it being your finances, right? Letting go of any self-sabotaging behavior, self-limiting beliefs you have, like a belief like you're not worthy of this, or this amount of money or something like that. Like working on letting go of those, working on letting go of any belief systems you have that are holding you back here, and trusting more that in shared resources, trusting that people will have your back, that things will come to you when they are meant to, as well as this is a lot of personal transformation too, right? So not being afraid of diving into the areas where we hold fear, where we hold guilt, where we hold shame, and really breaking down the energies that are keeping us stuck here, that are keeping us stuck from having true intimacy with others, and learning to trust that intimacy is okay. That could be a lot of the energy that's going on with the North Node there as well. And then with the opposition of Mercury to Uranus and Taurus, this is in your 10th house. So just knowing that there are going to continue to be some shakeups and unexpected things in your career, and making sure that you are spiritually aligned, that the things that are coming, the things that are leaving are meant to leave, the opportunities that are coming to you are meant to come to you, kind of trusting in that and letting things shake up and going with it. And a reminder to be willing to think outside the box too, right? Uranus wants to think outside the box. So getting creative in your career. Okay, so Virgo, this is happening for you. This full moon is happening for you in your 10th house of career. So shining a light on your career, and what is going well there and what isn't, what needs weeded out, asking you to balance that with your home life. And then this square is, this grand cross is hitting you right where it counts, right? You are being squared, so you are going to feel this energy a lot. So you and your relationships are the other focal point. So balancing you versus your relationships, and your home versus work, that is what is being called to be balanced out here. No small feat. But you're being asked to, with the South Node in your sign, being asked to let go of, where you're being too nitpicky with yourself, right? Letting go of the self-criticism, the self-hatred, the self-loathing that you may have, and, trusting that you are perfect and worthy as you are, and trusting that your relationships see you, and trusting that trusting that your close relationships, that they can be a mirror reflecting back to you the beauty that you are. Trusting that they have your back, trusting that you don't have to always have everything figured out and take care of everything you're on your own. You can trust in other people. And so breaking down the boundaries and the barriers of trusting other people, and learning to trust them, learning to have faith in other people, is a lot of what this is calling about. And that can be learning to trust those people in your career as well as your home, right? Learning to trust in the support that you have, and letting go of this idea that you have to do it all on your own. And then the other thing is this opposition between Mercury and Uranus in your 9th house. So, letting your higher belief systems shake up any way that they need to shake up. If there's opportunities for long distance travel or teaching or higher education, like considering those, because whatever's being shaken up in this house is meant to be shaken up. So don't fight it, just kind of roll with the punches and you will be better off. Libra, this full moon is happening for you in your 9th house of higher belief systems, education, higher education, foreign travel, teaching, finding mentors, gurus, things like that. So that is what is going to be highlighted. That is where you're focused on making sure that you are taking time to be aware of that area of your life. And so things might be highlighted there in your belief systems. And then, asking you to balance that with what type of information, communication are you allowing into your world in order to form these belief systems. So balancing that, perhaps balancing learning here in the 3rd house with teaching in the 9th, those types of things. And then the other thing that is being asked to be balanced at the same time is your North and South Node energies, which is in your 12th house and 6th house. So this axis is kind of one of the axes of health. So, 6th house is our daily health habits and routines. 12th house is the house of rest and subconscious patterns and thought processes and things like that. So with the South Node being here, we're being asked to let go of being too nitpicky, perhaps, and, maybe overall you have a hard time with spirituality and with trusting things because, with an earth sign being in this house, like you want to be able to taste, touch, smell, feel things. And the 12th house is the house of the unseen realms, the hidden. So it could be that, you have trouble trusting in those areas. And this is kind of calling you to learn how to let go of needing to know everything and to be more open to trusting what's out there, trusting trusting the intuition that's coming to you without needing to smell it, taste it, touch it, things like that. And then, in the 6th house of your daily habits, routines, work, kind of leaning more into that and letting go of boundaries or expectations that you have of what your day-to-day needs to look like or having too many walls around your daily habits and routines, and kind of going with the flow a little bit more, trusting and learning to embrace that having set schedules and routines may not be the best idea for you with Pisces in this house. Like, you need to have some type of structure, but trusting that, maybe the best path forward here is to just trust your intuition on a daily level. Trust what habits, trust that each day may look different, and that's okay. Those types of things might be coming up for you. The other thing is this opposition with Mercury and Scorpio to Uranus and Taurus. There are still some shaky things, some unexpected things going on, perhaps in your finances, your shared resources, so think like taxes, investments, money that's not yours, as well as shakeups or breaking out of the box with the intimacy that you have with yourself, with your own internal transformation, shadow work that you may be working on, that there's still some changes going on there. Okay, so Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This full moon is happening for you in your 8th house of shared resources, intimacy, transformation, regeneration. So your shared resources will be top of your mind. Also, any internal transformation will be a focus for you. This is a great time to do shadow work with the full moon here, illuminating your 8th house, illuminating the place where you hold your fears and your shame and your guilt. Could be a great time, especially with Gemini here, to do some journaling work, to engage with that internal shadow work and transformation that maybe you need to engage with. This is also highlighting your intimacy, both with yourself and with other people. And then, in opposition to your 2nd house of your personal money, your personal resources, your personal value system. So highlighting, the balance between those 2 areas is a focus right now. And then, it's in this square to your 11th and 5th house. So 11th house is your friends, friend groups, what you belong in. And the South Node here is asking you to let go of any perfectionism that you hold, like your relationships too, right? Allowing them to flow more freely, as well as being willing to let go of maybe friendships or groups that you've participated in for a long time, being willing to let go of those and let those leave so that more spiritually aligned ones can come along. Letting go of perhaps, 11th house can also be where we get the gains or losses from the work that we've put into our career. So letting go of any expectations that we have in those in that area of like what we expect to earn or whatever, and letting go of needing to have, like a set dollar amount in our mind, right? So this can be very financial. 5th house can also be financial, like our entrepreneurship things, but it's also your joy, your romance, your creativity, your children, and your inner child. So focusing on trust, letting go of things, boundaries that have held us back in going after our joy and our passions and our creativity, removing those barriers there and really trusting in our joy, and that trusting that when we are living in our joy, we are living our highest and best purpose, and engaging that just by living in our joy and our passion and our creativity and engaging with our inner child, that we are, by doing that, we are thus bringing the best of us to the world, which is the 11th house, and how we contribute to society. Like honoring ourselves is honoring and bringing the best of us to the world. So there's that. And then the opposition here from Mercury and Scorpio to Uranus and Taurus. So there are still some shakeups perhaps going on in relationships, whether that's business partnerships, romantic partnerships, best friendships, things like that, and trusting that whatever might be leaving is supposed to leave, whatever's coming in is supposed to come in. Okay, Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Rising. So this full moon is happening for you in your 7th house of relationships. So that is where you are going to be focusing on your energy, and where you will be emotionally invested at the time of this full moon, and just your relationships will be highlighted. But full moons are a time of balance, so the overall balance between you and others. But you want to make sure that with this full moon, that you are, engaging with other people, engaging in your relationships in a balanced way. And then, the square is happening in your 10th house and 4th house with the nodes, and this is your, house of home and family versus your house of career and public image, reputation. And so with the south node in your 10th house, kind of at this full moon, being asked to let go of any of those lower Virgo energies in regards to your career. So nitpicking and expecting perfection from certain aspects of your work environment or the people that you work with, or the letting go of some of the expectations that you have for yourself, requiring too much perfection of yourself in your career, working on letting go of some of those things and working on trusting and having faith and maybe relying more on your home and family and putting more energy into your emotional safety and your home environment where you get respite from the world, and tearing down any walls or boundaries or anything that you have there that's been holding you back, and just learning how to trust in your home a little bit more. Then we also have the opposition here from Scorpio to Uranus and Taurus in your 6th house. So you might continue to find that you're having some shakeups or thinking outside of the box, learning to do things differently in your daily habits and routines and work environment that are going to better suit you in the future. Okay, so Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. This full moon is happening for you in your 6th house of daily habits, routines, health, and work. So that is where your energy is going to be focused this full moon, where you are going to be looking at how things are coming to fruition, what you might need to let go of in order to keep moving in the right direction in your health, your daily habits, your routines, and your work, and balancing that as well out with your 12th house of rest and spirituality and taking time to meditate and things like that, and making sure that you're not working too much or doing too much in your daily habits and routines, or that you're not resting too much, right? With the sun here, you might be too much in this world of spirituality, world of other realms and stuff like that, with all this energy in your 12th house of the unseen realms. So with the full moon, you're being asked to consider, well, like, are you taking time to engage in the actual world, in your actual physical environment? So that could be something that is being called of you. And then the Grand Cross is calling your attention to your 9th house and 3rd house as well. And with the south node in your 9th house, it is kind of asking you to let go of needing to have perfectionism in your belief systems, learning to not have to necessarily have everything laid out and planned out, and having a little bit more faith perhaps, maybe letting go of the perfection, if you're in a higher education environment, letting go of, any perfectionism that you're expecting from that experience. And if you are a teacher or something like that, letting go of the perfectionism that you are expecting of yourself. Or if you're engaging in higher education, like, not necessarily, being okay with not getting everything right all the time, things like that, and leaning more into taking in information, communicating with others, maybe taking it more from a book learning to a hands-on, more practical learning, perhaps, or, just focusing more on maybe getting more out of the higher mind and into, dealing with the people in your immediate environment and conversing with them, and tearing down any walls you have with regards to communication, building up boundaries that you may need to have in communication, but trusting that communication and your siblings and your local environment, that they are important to you, and that that you can trust in communicating. You can trust that you will be listened to. Having a little more faith in that, having a little bit more faith and more discernment in the information that is coming to you, perhaps. So letting go of the need to have every detail figured out for your belief system, but also learning discernment in the information that you are taking in. And then also this square, or this opposition between Scorpio and Uranus in your 5th house of joy, romance, creativity, children, inner child, knowing that there are still some shakeups, some flipping things on its head, doing things differently, being open to those types of ideas as Uranus continues to shake up this area in any way that it needs to before it's ready to move on to its next house for you. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising. This full moon is happening for you in your 5th house of joy, romance, creativity, children, inner child, entrepreneurship. So you are going to be focused on that area, looking at are you engaging with your joy, your passions, your creativity? Are you spending time on that? Are you making time for your children? How are you contributing to your children, to your romantic partners? Are you giving them enough time, or are you spending too much time over here with your friends, your groups, the activities that you belong to, things of that nature? So the balance here, do you need to focus more on your entrepreneurship? Things of that nature are going to be highlighted for you at this full moon, and the balance between those things. And then the other square is with your highlighting your 2nd house and your 8th house. So the south node here in your 8th house, with the Virgo energy here, is asking you to let go of needing perfection from your shared resources, perfection from intimacy, needing to perfect your transformation experience, needing to have things, written down, needing to just letting go of any nitpicky energy that you have regarding intimacy, regarding what you expect from others with intimacy, perhaps letting go of the perfection that you expect of yourself within intimacy, letting go of the, with transformation, with this being the house of transformation, it's where we hold our fears and our guilt and our shame, and letting go of the perfection that you expect of yourself with those things, like allowing those things to exist. Like, you don't have to have transformation all figured out. It can be messy for you too. Letting go of those types of things and trusting more in your own ability to have to be financially stable, perhaps, letting go of any limiting beliefs regarding your money and your value system and your personal value, self-value, and trusting that you are valuable, trusting that you can make a way on your own, trusting, things like that are coming up for you for this. So it can be a very financially charged, I guess, full moon for you, with the North Node and South Node in your 2nd and 8th house being activated. And then 5th house, perhaps of entrepreneurship or inner child work, inner child healing, transformation, and then friend groups, hopes and dreams for the future, things like that. You're being asked to balance all of those things and work through them. And then you have this opposition here to Uranus in your 4th house of home and family. So thinking outside of the box there, trusting that whatever shakeups are continuing to happen there are meant to happen, being willing to think outside of the box, willing to do things different, willing to change, home or things about your home that need to be changed, anything that needs to be shaken up there. Just trust that it is meant for your highest and best good. And last but not least, we have Pisces. Pisces, this full moon is happening for you in your 4th house of home and family. So this is where you are going to be focused, right? Where things are going to be highlighted for you to figure out what's going right, what's going wrong in your home life, in opposition to your career. So balancing home and career and making sure that you are balanced there, looking at what might need to be, altered or highlighted or changed in your 4th house of home and family. And then maybe you're moving house and things are finally coming to fruition there. That could be something. And then also balancing out with the focus on the North Node and South Node, you personally, right? This is hitting you personally. You are being squared, so you might feel this full moon very emotionally. So the balance between you, your relationships, your home, and your career, and, kind of letting go of the negative Virgo energy in your relationships of being too nitpicky, expecting too much perfection out of your partner or something like that, like just being more accepting and maybe expecting less perfection out of yourself as well with how you show up in your partnerships, and trusting more that you are unique and you are whole and complete just the way you are, letting go of walls that maybe you've had that have kept you from having more fulfilling partnerships, building up boundaries of knowing what's yours versus what's others, and just trusting in the intuition that you are getting, as well. Trusting in yourself more. Could be things that are coming up for you at this full moon. And then also this opposition between Mars and Uranus in your 3rd house. So perhaps there's more outside of the box thinking, more unexpected things that might be coming to you in your 3rd house of short distance travel, automobiles, things like that, communication, more shakeups in perhaps how you engage with social media, how you engage in communication with people. Trust that whatever is kind of still being shaken up there is meant for your highest and best good. That is it for the December 4th full moon in Gemini, collective reading and by sign. I would highly recommend, if you haven't listened to this already, that you listen for your rising sign first, then your sun sign, then your moon sign when you're listening to it by signs, but also listen to the overall collective energy, because that is what we are all feeling and all going through as a collective, so you can kind of understand other people and what is going on the larger scale picture. Comment below with how this all resonated for you, and I look forward to seeing you back here on December 19th when we have the new moon in Sagittarius. I hope you have a great full moon. Again, comment below with how this hits for you. Have a great day.